Hi, everyone. I hope everybody's day is going great. I'm sorry about some of the inconsistencies with the class, and then also with my other class, I'm teaching the cataloging class as well. I know there's some crossover. Um, yeah, first time teaching both classes, inherited them from other people, and missed some things when I was moving them over. So I do apologize. So this class is fun. Just some more clarification. I know I mentioned this in the welcome video. It last time it was taught in the fall or in the spring rather, it was every other week they would meet on Zoom and then Canvas. So we're just doing obviously Canvas this semester. So any reference to Zoom other than my office hours are a mistake and it will just be on Canvas. So just be aware of that. Um, so just FYI, everything's on Canvas. Everything's on Canvas. There's no Zoom unless you want to talk to me during my office hours. So every week I'll be doing a lecture or two just to kind of talk about what we're going to be doing that week. This week I'm actually planning on two. I think there was one normally scheduled. I'm going to go ahead and do two, but they're going to be short. Well, this one's going to be pretty short. Just kind of going over what reference is. I know that there was um, some of the discussion, some feelings about maybe that this class is going to be very difficult. And don't worry, we will get through it together. I promise. I'm here for you. We will definitely make it to the end. So since this is a 60-week class, we're talking about reference and how to do the reference interview, how to go through that. This is what, just FYI, this is what I do. I'm a reference librarian. I've done lots of other things in my career. Was in technical services cataloging for a while. Did, user services, working, circulation and all that. I was over library for a while, and now I'm back to I do reference and then copyright is part of that as well. Just throwing that out there. But anyway, so I'm very familiar with how to do reference. It's pretty much been my constant for the last 23 years that I've been a librarian. So I really enjoy the reference interview. Is fun. We're gonna have fun doing this and learning about reference. I promise you, it's actually a lot of fun to do. You get to interact with people, find out what they're looking for, and then you get to kind of go on a little treasure hunt about how to help people. Just keep that in mind. So reference is basically that, right? We're going out and we're helping people find something. Somebody has a need. We don't know whatever that need is. Maybe they need a book. Maybe they need information on something. Maybe they need a phone number. It can be a lot of different things. And again, depending what type of library you work in, it will depend on that too. If you go into more like the public libraries, you can get a ton of different, it's kind of just very broad, and it's whoever walks through the door calls, you're going to get lots of different information needs. If you're at a school library and you're a school librarian, obviously it's going to be more fixed towards probably needing a book or needing to do, like, if you're an older, maybe junior high or high school, helping people find information on a paper they're writing, that kind of a thing. And keep that in mind. If you're at a university, that's what I've generally done. It's mostly helping students and faculty with their research needs, with how they're doing, like writing papers and, doing research for their research needs, publishing papers. Special libraries, again, if you're like a law librarian, you're helping people find, specific cases and different things that they can actually use when they're going out there and going to trial, into different, papers that they're turning in, but different things they're doing. Just keep that in mind. At the heart of it, though, is the reference interview. I'm just going to talk briefly about that. So if you read this week's reading is chapter 2 of the Reference and Information Services book. It's a pretty short chapter, so just keep that in mind. It's not hugely involved, but it's basically going to go over the reference interview. They're basically, right, there's three kind of different ways. They kind of mentioned VR too. I haven't done a ton of that, but there's three different ways people nowadays get information through a library, right? They can come through the door and they can ask, and they see somebody in person. We talk to them, we go through the reference interview, figure out what they want. They can call in, or they can go online via chat, right? Those are kind of the three different ways. They're very different depending on what you do. Just to let you know, the easiest is in person, in my opinion, because they're in front of you. You can go through the reference interview, talk to them, then phone, and then chat is a little bit on the harder side just because of the formatting of chat. You can still do it, but just a little bit more difficult. So the reference interview is at the heart of all of it. And basically that's just a way it's generally called of finding information to get the person. So if you'll get somebody who comes in and they'll say, um, so one I've had in the past, I'll just use a real example. Somebody came in and they said, I would like to get um, money so I can take my cat, I believe it was, to the vet. So essentially, I can't, I need to take my cat to the vet. Is there public money that I can apply to that would help me to pay for those, the cost of taking my cat to the vet? Okay, so that was the initial question. So you can do a couple of things at that point, right? I can say like, oh, okay, cool, let me see what I can find, right? And just start typing on my computer. Don't suggest doing that. You need to engage the person a little bit, actually quite a bit. Okay, so, okay, you're looking for, cat. Is there a specific reason you're looking for this? Is it, do they need to be, spayed or neutered? Are they sick? Do they need, is there something of a diagnosis that they've had? Maybe we can look specifically for that. Ask questions, open-ended questions. They don't have to be open-ended, but open-ended questions are the best because it kind of gets them talking. Also, make sure you're rephrasing as you're going along to make sure that they understand. So if they come in and say, I'm looking for a book on reference. Okay, great. So you're looking for a book on reference. Are you looking for like a dictionary kind of thing? Are you looking for, what kind of reference book are you looking for? Oh, great. You're in Lib102. You're looking for a book on actually how to do reference as a librarian. Perfect. Let's see. There's different ways of formatting that. So you're going to have to talk to them, ask open-ended questions, figure out what they're doing. A lot of times when you're doing that, not a lot of times, but there have been times where I've thought, oh, I understand the question. You rephrase it and they're like, no, that's not at all what I meant. It's something totally different, but in your mind, for whatever reason, your history, your experience, your, how you grew up, your ethnicity, whatever, phrased it like this is what they wanted. And it turns out that's not it at all. And so by you rephrasing the question, it gets them to understand, oh no, this is what I was actually, oh, okay, great. It's totally different than what I thought. So just be aware of that. So we're going to be asking lots of questions, lots of rephrasing. And then once you're kind of like, okay, you're on the same page, that's when we say, okay, great. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to see what's out there. So you need information on maybe free spay and neutering for a cat. Let me see what's out there on the web. So you're going to go out there and depending on the situation, again, I'm from universities. For those who probably want to be school librarians, you're doing a little more teaching in that, right? It's like, let me show you. So next time you can kind of start the situation on your own. Here at the university, one question that I always like to ask, again, this is probably specific to university librarians, is what have they looked for before? Because a lot of times they have started the search and they're just not able to find something. So that kind of helps guide you too. But don't ever put pressure on people like, how dare you have not, tried to find something. Just, I just more of a gathering of part of my open-ended questions. Like, have you looked before? Okay, no, great. Let's see what we can find out there. But definitely talk through what you're doing. Don't ever just say, okay, let me see what I can find. I like to have the person sitting right next to me where they can see my screen. And we can just go through and, okay, let's look to see what money is available for, again, for spay and neutering cats. Go out on the web. There was definitely money available for what he needed. I don't remember exactly what the need was. But to definitely go out there and to find what was available. And then so he was able to apply to a couple of different places. Don't know what happened, but for whatever his need was, for money to help his cat. So definitely be aware of that. Just kind of, so that's the big thing is, and you'll read about it in the chapter 2 as well, is we all come in with certain biases just because that's who we are, right? We all come in with our implicit biases and of what of how, again, our ethnicity, our age, where we grew up, living in Southern California versus, living in New York, you're going to have different thoughts about things than each other, just the way it is. So just keep in mind that we need to make sure we're answering our questions, we're going through. The goal is to get, in the chapter it says, the goal is to get the right answer. And I understand why they said that, because that is the goal, kind of, but you're going to come across people. And the reason that I'm hesitant to say, I don't mean to go against the book, but that you're looking for the right answer, is that some people don't have any idea what the right answer is. And so we need to be careful about that. You're looking for the most correct information that you can give them. And the reason that I'm like, because again, being in university libraries, if somebody comes in and says, I need 10 articles on the reference interview. Okay, great. So let's find out, does it need to be peer reviewed? Are you writing a paper on this? Are you, what are we doing? Are we hoping to publish this? Are we hoping to whatever, but there really isn't a right answer in that, right? It's what the patron is hoping for in that right answer. And so just to be aware of that, the right answer can move. And if you found, you'll have two people come in, they'll have another person come in and say, I need 10 articles for my class, for a reference class. The 10 articles that they choose might be totally different than the 10 articles the original person came, even though the prompt's the same, because that's what they're looking at. But just be aware of that. So that's why I'm kind of hesitant to, the right answer is dependent on the patron as well as what their question is. Obviously, there's factual answers. I'm not talking necessarily about the factual answers. Somebody comes in and says, I'm looking for the phone number for the YMCA, for my local YMCA. Obviously, there is an answer for that, right? There's a factual answer, but in that case, that would be the right answer. But depending on what type of librarian system we're in, whether it's public, school, university, special, all the different kinds, it's going to move. So just be aware of that as you're reading chapter 2. But it does break down for you the different kind of the differences. Again, in person is a little bit easier because you can kind of give that give and take. And I like to keep the reference part of it as short as possible. So for example, I don't like to sit there for, even a half hour generally with most people. Get them started, get them going, and then kind of say, okay, great. Let's get you set up on a computer. You can start looking through things. If you have any questions, I'll be around walking around in a little bit. You can always come get me. I'll be more than happy to help you from here. It just, I find that there's kind of a point where people are kind of over it, if that makes any sense. They're like, just let me go, let me help. Again, that does depend on the person, obviously, but go through obviously the reference interview. That's going to take some time. Then you can go from there. It's very interesting. The goal is, again, during the reference interview, is to find out what the person's looking for, what they want, how you can help them find that. So when you're face to face, a little bit easier. When you're on the phone, it's even a little bit easier because you can talk to them. Again, people only want to be on the phone for even less amount of time, so just be aware of that. A lot of times when I'm on the phone with somebody and they call in, I'll ask them to actually email me their question, and I can always call them back, just because sometimes what I hear and what I think I've heard is different than when they write it out. So I'll go through and I'll say, okay, so this is what you're looking for. And they say, yes, yes, yes. And then I'll say, great, you just do me a favor and just, here's my email. Can you just email me really quick what your question is? And so I'll have your email address. I can get back to you that way as well, blah, blah, blah. And they're usually, most people, I've never had anybody really balk at that. But that's also just another way, so you'll have the information in front of you. And then lastly is the chat. Chat is interesting because you can lose people at any time. So when you're going through the chat, just make sure you're asking the questions as well, though. That's the big thing, though. Never assume you know what they're looking for. Never assume that you have, okay, yeah, this is what you're looking for. Okay, you said you needed this. So, you said you need 10 articles on the reference interview. Let me go find, let me show you what the 10 best articles reference interview. It's for them to determine regardless of whether that's chat, whether that's on the phone, whether that's in person. You are helping them along and helping them find the things. So keep that in mind as you go through this. Again, depending, I said this on the cataloging, if you're in my cataloging class right now, it's this on the cataloging lecture as well. Depending on what you do. So cataloging is usually kind of behind the scenes. It's going through cataloging the item so that the reference librarian can then go and find it, right? And help the people with that item. Reference is the other side of it. It's kind of a totally other part of it, right? You're working with the people. You're, again, using the cataloging record, which is very important. We will talk about how to find different information as we go through. Part of it is the cataloging record and what you're finding on there. But just keeping that in mind. I find that, I will say this, that you're either a cataloger or you're like the reference circulation front of the house person. Very few people like to do both. You're generally personality wise one or the other in the library world. So just keep that in mind as well. If you're, if you've done the cataloging class, you're like, oh, that was amazing. I love this. Reference can be harder for you, but it won't be. We'll get through this. Again, we're here for the class. I will definitely get you through. Again, chapter 2 talks about the reference interview. Big thing is don't assume anything. Ask questions for clarification. Restate the problem. And this can go on for a while, as much as you need to. So that's kind of the reference interview. We're going to be going through, again, kind of your main project, the research question project. We're going to be going to the different libraries. We're not going to them, but you're going to be doing the chat with them. Keep that in mind. That's kind of, you're going to be on the user side. So you have to actually see what it's like to be on the user side, right? And kind of, well, so what was frustrating about that? What would you like to have seen happen? That kind of a thing. So keep that in mind. You're going to see great examples, I'm sure, of what the reference interview looks like from the patron side of things. Again, we'll get you through this class. Any of my classes, we're here. I'm here to definitely help you. So one last thing, make sure that you check in by Wednesday, by tomorrow, if you have not done that. There's about 11 people, I believe, that have not done that yet. Please do that by tomorrow. You will get an email from me tomorrow morning if you have not already done that. So if you'd like to not get an email from me, make sure you go ahead and just post a brief introduction of who you are. And I appreciate everybody who has gone ahead and done that. Again, I will be doing this lecture and then I'll be doing one on the RUSA guidelines, which I will post tomorrow. So I'll be getting that tomorrow. Yeah, if you have any questions about this class or you see anything else that I might have missed, please let me know. I will be having office hours tomorrow, or not tomorrow, tonight. Hello, Tuesday, today's Tuesday, tonight from 4 to 6. So please feel free to jump on. It's posted there under office hours. The link for Zoom, please feel free to jump on, and I'll be more than happy to answer any of your questions live, or you can always email me. I'll be definitely checking my email during that time as well. So again, tonight is my office hours. Tuesday, tonight is from 4 to 6, and then via the Zoom link that's posted. And make sure that you go ahead and you do your check-in so that everything's good. So great, yeah. So read chapter 2, it goes into great detail about the reference interview. And yeah, everybody's going to become really efficient this semester at finding information for people and where to go and how to make sure that they understand what they're looking for. So great. Have a great day and let me know how I can help you. Bye.